Hello, this is the Jay Show, and this is Dr. Jay Smith here in London. With me over here next to me is Hatun Tash.
Hello, Jay. Thanks for having me again.
You've been with us now for 10 episodes.
Yep.
We're now starting our 11th episode.
It's been a long time.
It has, because there's so much material that we're looking at. Some of the things we've been looking at, Hatun, have concerned the Quran, and we're really only talking about the Quran for all these episodes.
So we've been looking at the Holy Book of Muslims, the Holy Quran according to Muslim sayings. We are looking at the claims that Quran has been revealed to Muhammad from 610 to 632. In the time of Uthman, around 650, it has been compiled and then sent it to the couple of cities. And today, the Arabic Quran we are reading is exactly the same.
That's what they say.
In every part of the world.
But
That's
you're
the
not
claim.
saying that.
Yeah. So we are looking at the different Qurans, and then we are investigating the claim Muslims are making to us. Are the Arabic Qurans around the world, which exist in Arabic version? We are all aware that Quran is given Arabic, and it is Arabic. If you are reading the translations of the Quran, that is the meaning of the Quran.
And that's what the claim they have made. They have been claiming that every Arabic Quran all around the Muslim world, from as far away as the Philippines in the east to the Senegal in the west, that whole, what we call a swath of Muslim countries, every Arabic Quran is exactly the same. Not one letter different, not one diacritical mark different.
Not even a dot different.
Not even a dot. These diacritical dot marks that are above and below line. None are different. They are exactly the same. That's the claim they've always made.
Claim.
We're finding quite a difference from that claim. In fact, we're opening up, and we have been looking, haven't we, Hatun? We've been looking at many of these differences. Now, let's. I want you to pull up this screen again. I want to look at these different variations that were brought in by different teachers. In the last episode, and let's look at this graph that we have in front of us. In the last episode, on the right-hand side, we saw the 24 different Qurans. These are the different variations.
24 different Arabic Qurans.
And these are introduced in the 8th and 9th century up until the 10th century.
Yes, dated around 700s, 800s, 900s.
Okay, and these are introduced by teachers and also their students.
Yes, that's
We don't
correct.
need to go through all the names. You can see them all listed there. 24 strong, well-known, authoritative
Arabic Qurans.
Which have thousands of differences between them.
Yeah.
On the left side, these were not as authoritative, and these were 13 less authoritative, again, teachers and students and their variations.
Yeah.
So we have 24 on the right and 13 on the left. That's 37 in total.
Yeah.
Now, I should say, not we. I have nothing to do with this. This is all your work. You and our Arabic helper over here have unpacked and looked at just 23 of these 37 Qurans.
Yeah, so we've got 26 of them in our possessions, plus Hafs Quran, 27 altogether. And then we haven't had the time to go through all of them, but we were able to look at the 23 of those Qurans.
23 of those Qurans. And in the last episode, we mentioned that there were 43,985 differences.
So
just in what you've seen, just what you have found.
Yeah, so that was last week.
Well, no, that was last episode. But now we're up to 45,339. And that's just in 1 week. You're right, it's just a week ago. You have found over 1,000 more. What this tells me, Hatun, is you're going to continue to find thousands more yet to come.
Yeah. I think if you look at the claim, not even a dot changed from the Arabic Quran, not even a word changed in the Arabic Quran, yet the Qurans are written form, Arabic Qurans out there exist, and then we are talking about over 45,000 variations, which change the meaning of the words, which sometimes even it changed the theology of the sentence.
And we saw that already in just the last episode. We started looking at Surah 2, looking at Surah 1 and Surah 2. We're just looking at the first two surahs. We're going to do some more now in this episode, looking at Surah 3. But let's get back to what you're talking about. Just changing the dots. Let's help those who are watching. And for those who are watching, what do we mean by just changing the dots? So we're going to review now. We're going to go back and we're going to look at the letters again. Let's go back and review what we said. So let's look at this letter. I want to bring this up. The 28 Arabic letters without dots, which existed in the 7th century. Take a look at those 28 8 Arabic letters.
Yeah.
Those are now on your screen. Now, what I want you to do, Hatun, is I want you now to go through and show us which of those 28 remain unique. Which are the 6 unique letters? Could you go and show that up on your screen?
So the slide you are seeing on your screen, you can see the 28 Arabic letters, and they are without dots. So this is how it looked like in the time of Muhammad.
Okay. Now you're going to show which
Yes.
ones now don't need dots, okay?
Yes. So when we look at the these letters with the dots, which is in 2017 version, we've got letter Alif,
Alif, Waw, Ha, Mim, Lam, Kaf.
So we've got 6 Arabic letters, and you can understand those letters if they don't have the dots or wherever they are in the word.
Okay,
But
they don't need dots. They always retain the
yes,
same shape.
you can recognize them in the words.
Okay.
Yet, when you look at the rest of 22 letters, you cannot recognize them without dots.
Okay, I'm going to stop you right there. There's also one more thing we need to add, and that is the aleph. Now, our Arab speaker, when you add a dagar aleph, explain what the dagar aleph is, because that is a different kind of aleph than just one that's written in the text, is it not?
Well, it should be in most of the cases written within the word itself. So sometimes it's wrong to have it written just to add an aleph in the middle of the word. You just put a dagar aleph because it doesn't make sense in many words, as we see in the Quran.
And what happens when you stick the dagar aleph in? What happens to that letter? It elongates it, doesn't it?
Yes.
So
It's
it makes
like
it-
a double A instead of one A.
Okay, it makes it a double A instead of a short A. Now, Hatun,
Does
we're gonna look at some examples. One of the claims that has been made by many of those, we get it at Speaker's Corner
Yep.
from the Muslims there. We've got it on the internet. Many people are saying that this is all that we are talking about. That these changes are nothing more than dagar alephs that were added at a later. Dagar alephs were invented and created at a much later date than the aleph. And so as they were added into the text, it didn't do any changes to the text. It had no difference in meaning. It was nothing more the dagar aleph, and that's all we're talking about. I want to bring that in this time because we're going to get into that and show some examples how the dagar aleph actually does change the meaning of the sentence. But I want to bring that in here as we're looking. So we not only have the aleph that you see there at the top, we also have the dagar aleph that will be introduced later.
Yeah. So dagar alif will make the word with, you read it with double A.
A longer A.
Longer A. And also it will make from singular to plural.
We'll get to that.
Yeah,
okay?
we will get to that.
We'll get to that. Okay, so are you all following this? Can you see why we're bringing this back? It's important that you see, that you visually see these 28 letters. 6 of them don't need the dots above or below the lines to make it different. But the other 22, depending on where you have the dot above, or 2 dots, or 3 dots above, or 2 dots below, or 1 dot below, changes the meaning of the text. Now, let's just give some examples. We did this earlier, but I think it's important that let's just look at say a 3-letter word. If you could bring that up on your screen.
Yeah.
Using the same 3-letter word, just those, really, it just looks like 3 little curlicues.
Yes.
All right? It just looks like, I mean,
It can be ta, ba, nun, anything.
looking at it, and our Arabic speaker, does that make sense to you? Those 3, that Arabic text there, just 3
No,
letters.
it doesn't make any sense.
If you were to look at, you could make that, you would not know what you're looking at, right?
No.
Why would you not know what you're looking at?
No dots.
You need the dots.
Yes.
Because that could be made many different words.
Yes.
In fact, you yourself have come up with 19 words.
Yes, there are
That's just the
more.
ones you've come up off the top of your head.
Yeah.
So when the Quran was first written down, that's all they had were these consonantal letters. Let's now put up and look and see what we're talking about. Explain
So
these ones we have
our
here.
first word is house.
Bait,
Our second word is it spotted.
Sprouted.
sprouted, nabata,
Third word is stayed over.
bayata,
A girl or daughter.
bint,
She built,
banat,
stood firm,
ثبت,
grew.
nabata,
We repent,
natub,
He repents.
يتب.
She repents.
تتب.
He spreads or he broadcasts.
يبث.
She spreads or she broadcasts.
تبث.
We spread, we broadcast.
نبث.
He fixed or made firm.
ثبت.
She destroyed.
تبت.
We destroy.
نتب.
You destroy.
تتب.
It was destroyed.
تبت.
I repented.
تبت.
Now, just take a look at that. Depending on where you put the dot, above or below the line, whether it's 2 dots, 1 dot, above or below, it changes at 19 different ways. That's just the ones that our Arabic speaker has
and then
come up with.
it took only like 5 minutes to just come up with those words.
About 5 minutes. You
So
could probably spend more
she
time
did.
and come up with more words.
Yeah.
Therefore, the diacritical marks are absolutely important.
So that means in the time of Muhammad, when Allah revealed Quran to Muhammad through angel, the word was written down if it was only like this, 3 same shape, that it was very easy for someone to come up with minimum 19 words just from this shape.
Just from those 3 shapes, because there are 22 different possibilities that you could come up with.
More than 22, actually.
More than 22, because you also have the other, well, 28 is, of course, but 22 as far as the diacritical marks are concerned. So let's, are you all, I hope that those who are watching are following what we're saying. Why we're bringing this up, we're spending extra time on this, because it's important that you understand. I'm assuming many of you have never spoken Arabic, you have never read Arabic. We want to make sure that even those who have never come across Arabic can see why this is important. The dots above and below the line are absolutely crucial. And when the Quran was first written out, those dots did not exist. I mean, this is a question we've brought up, hasn't it? Why would God, in His wisdom, why would He choose Arabic to reveal His greatest revelation when He knew that at that time, Arabic could not have accommodated such a sophisticated text? I mean, to me, I'm astounded. And I would like to ask God, and I know the answer. He said, well, this is not His text. He did not choose Arabic. I mean, that's the only conclusion I can come to. This could not be God's holy word. God would not make a mistake like this.
If you remember Kindi, he talks about Quran cannot be word of God because it is very poor Arabic.
It's a terrible Arabic. And Arabic is a very poor language. On top of that, there were other languages God could have used that already did exist. He had Hebrew. Listen, he'd already been using Hebrew for 3,400 years. Hebrew was well adapted. By the time of the 1st century, it already had all its diacritical marks. It had all its vowelization. And it was a perfectly good language to use. It was being used right across the world. God had already used it. He also had Greek, which already has its vowels. I mean, it has its consonants and its vowels intertwined within the text.
I think also it will be helpful to ask the question of, even, let's say, sake of the argument, God, with all His wisdom, He chose the language of Arabic. Then the question is, why did He send lots of different dialects for people to write the things down? It made more confused. Like Arabic wasn't good enough.
The Qurayshi dialect
Qurayshi,
was not good
Thani,
enough.
all those kind of things. We are talking about 7 different dialects. Allah didn't only send one language, He also sent like 7 dialects with that language. It made it more messy.
And as we're looking now, we are finding these are not dialectic differences. These are actually written differences. These are, as we're finding, these are letters that have been changed, not because of any dialect. These are changed by individual, by people, by teachers, and by students who did not like this word this way, change it to this other way. What gave them the authority to do that? Who gave them the authority to do that? And why have Muslims not acknowledged all these variations? We're up to 45,000 of them that you have just found. Why is it we're just finding these out now in the 21st century? Why have Muslims not admitted this from the very beginning?
Actually, it is known by some Muslims in first 300 years of Islam. People are talking about it. People are having debate about it. Yet, it comes to the 2017, Muslims still stands out and then says, actually, nothing changed in the Quran.
And yet these Qurans are being sold all over the Arab world. You bought all of these Qurans in the last 2 years. These are not ancient Qurans. These are Qurans that still exist today. You can go out in the marketplace. You can go to Jordan. You can go to Yemen. You can come even here to London and you can buy them in the marketplaces. So these are questions that Muslims need to answer. But let's now get back. What we want to do is we want to continue what we did in the last episode, in episode 10, and we want to look at some of these differences. Now, we went and we did the first two surahs. We did Surah 1, Ayah 4, and then we did a smattering of Surah 2. Listen, Hatun, we could go through 45,000 of these. That's way too many. There's no way in the world that we're going to get through 45,000. So what you have done and what I have done is we have just gone through and we've pulled out certain ones to give examples of what we're talking about.
People can have access to those Qurans. It's not that easy. But if someone is very curious and then conscious, they want to know what their eternal word says, then they can get access and then buy the Quran and then study. We will just give them little bit examples.
And here's the other thing. As they buy the Qurans, when they open them up, they will see that they are different colors.
Not all of the Qurans, but some of the Qurans.
We've showed that already, haven't we?
Some of the Quran gives us the color code. If it is different color, that means there is difference between that Quran versus Hafs Quran.
Yeah, and so they don't even have to do a lot of the work. It's been done for them. So Muslims today,
they need to do the work of what does it change the meaning or what is that mean.
That's what we're helping them with, and we're just going to show a smattering of them. But this is what's fascinating. Arabic publishing houses are publishing these Qurans today.
Yeah.
None of these you did.
I didn't publish them, my father didn't publish them, or you didn't publish them.
I don't have the finances to, I wouldn't have the background, and I wouldn't have the want to waste my time doing that.
So we all bought them from the Muslim bookshops.
You bought them, and you had friends buy them. And as you bought them, you saw that very clearly the Arabic publishing houses actually did the job for you by coloring the different... Some of them. By putting in colors to show you, and putting in margins the names of the different variations, and even the name of the student that had this variation of that word. That made it an awful lot easier. And we're going to look at some of them now. We've taken pictures, and everything we're going to show now are pictures of actual Qurans that you have.
Yes.
These are photographs, so you're not making this up, you're not writing it, you're not wasting your time trying to have other people write it. These are actual snapshots of Qurans side by side. Most of them are going to be Hafs and Warsh. We didn't really have time to go through all the others. We're going to bring a few in as examples, just to show you that it's not just the Warsh, it's also other ones, so that we get a little smattering. But these are snapshots of each one of these verses, with the Hafs on the left and either the Warsh or another one on the right. So we're now going to begin and jump into Surah 2. And we're going to try to go sequentially. So let's start with Surah 3 and let's look at Surah 3, Ayah 37.
Okay. You read the Warsh, Hafs 1, I read the Warsh 1.
Okay. The Hafs one says, wa kafalaha.
Wa kafalaha.
And the Warsh says?
Kafalaha.
Well, you can see there is a shadda above the fa. So, why is that a big thing? Well, in the Hafs case, if you keep the shadda there, it says, Allah made sure she was taken care of. In the Warsh, however, if you take the shadda out, what does it mean?
He took charge of her. In the sentence, it is, so her Lord, it talks in the context of Mary, so her Lord made her grow in a good manner, and he, Zechariah, took charge of her. So Zechariah is the one who took charge of Mary and looked after Mary.
Okay. In the Hafs, which is in the blue, so her Lord, this is Mary's Lord, made her grow in a good manner and put her under the care of Zechariah.
So when you compare those two ayats together, in one of the occasions, she was put under the care of someone.
Yeah.
In other occasions, it was Zechariah who took charge of her.
So really, what we're asking is, who did the action here?
Yes.
This changes the action. In one case, Allah takes care of the action. In the other case, Zechariah takes care of the action. Yeah. So you see already here, just by picking a little shad, a little W, it looks like a little W for those of us who don't read Arabic.
For those of us who don't read Arabic, we call it a wrong way tree.
A what?
Tree, number 3 in a wrong way.
Okay, a lazy 3 that's fallen down and is going to sleep. Okay, a sleeping 3. And that's really elongates the F sound.
Yeah.
So in the Hafs, there it is put her under the care without the shada. Zechariah took charge of her. Now that changes the person who does the action here.
Yeah.
So that has significance already.
Yes.
We can see that has. Let's go to the next one here. And this is Surah 3, Ayah 79. If I'll have our Arab speaker please read the Hafs in the Warsh.
Hafs تعلمون. ورش تعلمون.
Now you can see immediately that there is a problem here. If you could pull up the tu'alimun, you will see that there is a dhamma. Dhamma means a u. That's a vowel now. There's a u dhamma that is above the ta. The u then means you teach. You teach.
Yep.
Tu'alimun. But when you look at the warsh, there is no dhamma. It is a fatha that is above the ta. So here you have a difference in vowelization. Not diacritical mark. We're looking at vowelization.
Yep.
But by doing that, you then have to change and bring a different diacritical mark. So under the lam, in the hafs, it has to be e, a kasra, whereas under the warsh, it remains a fatha.
Yep.
So you then have to change. You have to correct the diacritical marks. And change diacritical marks.
I guess the main question is, does it change the meaning of the word?
Well, let me read the hafs in English. The translation there was, be you Rabbaniyun, because you are teaching the book and you are studying it. It then it changes to?
Be you Rabbaniyun, because you know the book and you are studying it.
So one is teach and the other is to know. It changes it completely.
Yes, because I can know my scripture, but I'm not capable, or I don't have that ability to teach my scripture.
That's right. Many of us know something.
Yeah, teaching is different gift. Learning, knowing your scripture is something
totally
else.
Different skill.
Yeah.
A lot of people can know something, but they cannot teach it.
Yeah.
And when you
you
get
don't
a teacher,
know well enough to teach it.
not only that, you get a whole different credential, and in fact, you get a higher pay if you're actually teaching it.
Yeah.
So it's a huge difference if someone is simply knowing something or something teaching. In the context of the hafs, they are teaching it.
Yeah.
In the context of the warsh, they just simply know it. Many people can know, but not everybody is capable of teaching.
Yes.
Great difference there. So that makes a big difference. That's what we're trying. I hope you're looking at this. I hope you're watching, and I hope you're seeing how it not only changes the letter, it by just a simple vowel, change one from the u to a,
Yeah.
it changes also the meaning of the text. Let's move
I
on
think
now.
it will be very unfair if we just say teaching and knowing is the complementary with one another. Yet it's not.
No, people would like to say that, but anybody who teaches know you have to know an awful lot
Yeah.
to teach. Good. Disciples know, teachers teach.
Yeah.
Students think they know, but they're not ready to teach until they're given that credential or have passed that test.
Surah 3 verse 83.
Now we're into Surah 3, verse 83. And let's have our Arabic speaker go ahead and read those.
حفص يبغون يرجعون يرجعون ورش تبغون ترجعون.
Okay, now here it does make a difference depending on whether or not the dots are below or above the line. Remember we talked about this. Now we're getting into diacritical differences. In the left hafs side, you have, and if you can just enlarge it, it has the two dots below the line, below the letter, making it yabguna and yurja'una. On the warsh side, when you look at the warsh side, you have the two dots above the letter, making it tabguna and turja'una. So one is a ya in you, and the other is a ta in tu. Now, how does that change the English translation?
Would you like to read the hafs?
I'll read the hafs.
warsh.
Do they seek other than the religion of Allah, while to him submitted all creatures in the heavens and the earth, willingly or unwillingly, and to him shall they all be returned?
In warsh, it makes, do you seek other than the religion of Allah, while to him submitted all creatures in the heavens and the earth, willingly or unwillingly, and to him shall you all be returned. So it's from they to you.
From they to you.
Yeah.
So it really does change the whole context here
Yeah.
as to who is actually the ones that are returning and submitting.
Yep.
Is it they as a group, or is it you? Now it gets even worse than that. And to look at that, you need to look at the context. Look at the verses that precede it. When you look at verses 81 and 82, in both the hafs and the warsh, it's referring to they. It's referring always to third person,
Yeah.
plural, third person, plural, third person, plural. In the Warsh, suddenly, in this verse, 83, it changes it to second person, masculine, singular. Now that's a problem, because it's, I would suggest, whoever wrote the Warsh is not being consistent here. The Hafs version is being consistent. It understands that they're talking about they're talking about the group of people. In the case of the Warsh, why did they then go suddenly to the second person? What's going on here? Was this a mistake? Was it intentional? It changes not only the whole context of that scripture, it certainly changes the meaning as to who is doing the action here.
I don't think Islamic tradition or Islamic history gives us any clues that what was mind of Warsh or people who wrote the Quran of Warsh. So we will never know what they meant in the first place.
We'd never know what they meant in the first place. But we do know the Hafs comes from the 9th century. And it was the 9th or 8th century, I can't remember now.
800s.
800, so 9th century. So we do know that the Hafs that is used today, the one that was finally canonized in 1924, 93 years ago, we keep reminding ourselves that it's such a new text. It's not even 100 years old. Prince Philip is older than the Quran that we're using in our hand today. This book right here really was only created 100 years ago. And so that's why it's very important that we do remind ourselves, this is a very new text, and it's derived from someone named Hafs in the 9th century.
From Kufa.
We're going to bring down this to a conclusion here, this episode 11 before, and then in the episode 12, we're going to continue with Surah 3. But can you see now, Hatun, why we're bringing this up? Can you see why this is important?
It is, I can see why it's important. I hope my dear Muslim friends will see how important it is, because Quran is their holy book, and recitation of Quran is very important, and Quran is the one which is going to intercede for you the way you recite the Quran. Yet we are looking back from the first 300s of Islam to 2017, and then we see there are different Arabic Qurans out there, and the way they just put one dot below of the line or up of the line change the meaning of the word, change the meaning of the sentence, and it changed whole ayat in the certain occasions. So it's not only one, like you can't just get rid of saying, oh, it's only one dot. It changed the meaning of the sentence, and we are looking at the Arabic Qurans.
We have purposely gone through and looked at how these dots above and below the line can change the meaning of the word. We looked at just three little squiggles, which look like three little squiggles. I used to always like say smiley faces. When I was taking Arabic, I always used to tell my teacher, this looks like three smiley faces next to each other. My other Arab teacher, my most recent Arab teacher, doesn't like the smiley face. She likes it to be squares. Nonetheless, either way you look at it, it doesn't make much sense if there are just three of them in a row. Like we showed, we need to have dots. These dots had to be brought in. It's obvious that the Arabs could not read their own text. That's why they started introducing these dots. Sometimes one above a line to make a na. Two tops above a line makes it a ta. Three dots above a line makes it a tha. One dot below the line makes it a ba. Two dots below the line makes it a ya. Na, ta, tha, ba, ya. Which is it? So you need to know. That's just 5 different letters just with dots above and below the line in just one squiggly. So you can understand if there are 3 squigglies or 3 smiley faces, how that can bring 19 different words, as our Arabic experts showed us. Now we need to stop there. We need to bring it to a close. This has been episode 11. It's been great to have you here, Hatun. We're going to continue with Surah 3. We're going to go on to Surah 3, Ayah 146 in the next episode. And we want to continue right up through Surah 98 and show just a smattering of examples of how in every case the Quran does change. Come with us. We're going to continue starting with episode 12 when we regain our senses and we come back to look at them in detail. We'll love to see you then. This is Jay here in London. Over and out.